malang tidak berbau. Accidents may happen anytime, anywhere. Accidents may happen to you. Did you know that accidents happen throughout the year? The construction industry has the highest number of fatal accidents compared to others. That's why safety must be taken seriously by everyone who manages or works at construction sites. When it comes to health and safety, there should be no compromise. And we should always strive to not only comply with the minimum standards imposed by rules and regulations, but to ensure that everyone can work productively, safely, and remain healthy. This series of training videos comprises 6 parts and is based on the CIS 10 2020 Construction Industry Standard Book. This is a must-have book. You are encouraged to actively check and study the pages referred to in the videos. If you haven't got a copy of this book, pause this video and download the book for free from this link. If you've got the book ready, let's begin. Whoa! Luckily, no one was hurt. I'd be flatter than roti chana if I was standing right there. Anyway, hi, I'm Farhan. We're here today to learn about Safety and Health Assessment System in Construction, or SHASSIC. SHASSIC is an independent method used to assess and evaluate the safety and health performance of a contractor in construction works or projects. It's important to note that the assessment should be carried out when the physical progress of the project is between 25% to 75%. This includes the construction planning stage and construction stage. Within this period, construction activities are usually at its peak. Workers are at full strength and there's great potential for accidents to happen. Introduced in 2008 as Construction Industry Standard 10, the standard has been revised in 2018 and once more in 2020. This CIS 10 was developed and reviewed by CIDB with the assistance of stakeholders by forming a technical committee on safety and health assessment system in construction, which comprises representatives from various organizations such as government agencies, associations, practitioners, and academia. Association of Consulting Engineers Malaysia, Construction Research Institute of Malaysia, Department of Occupational Safety and Health Malaysia, IOI Properties Group Berhad, Jabatan Kerja Raya, Master Builders Association Malaysia, Malaysian Occupational Safety and Health Practitioners, Malaysian Society for Occupational Safety and Health, Pertubuhan Arkitek Malaysia, Real Estate and Housing Developers Association, Toklan Osh Services, University of Malaya. SHASSIC was designed and developed to enable the user to achieve any or a combination of the following objectives. To establish a standard system on occupational safety and health assessment in the construction industry. To assess and evaluate the contractor's occupational safety and health performance based on a particular project. To evaluate the performance of contractors on occupational safety and health practices at the site. As a feedback mechanism to improve and to take necessary corrective and preventive action on occupational safety and health performance and management at the site. And to benchmark the level of occupational safety and health performance of the Malaysian construction industry. Here's an easy way to remember the objectives. Rearrange these a bit, and we get SHASSIC. Repeat saying SHASSIC a few times, and remember what it stands for. A SHASSIC assessment covers the safety and health management and practices of the contractor in various aspects of construction work activities. The components assessed in SHASSIC include OSH policy, leadership and worker participation, planning, support and operation, OSH organization, hazard identification, risk assessment and control measures determination, OSH training and promotion, machinery and equipment management, materials management, emergency preparedness, incident and accident investigation and reporting, and records management and performance monitoring. The components mentioned just now are under the scope of SHASSIC CIS 10, 2020, OSH MS, Practices of Construction Planning Stage, CPS, and Construction Stage, CS, activities under Act 520. You'll see later how all those components have been incorporated into the checklists and questionnaires used in a SHASSIC assessment. The use of SHASSIC in a construction site is intended to complement the contractual requirement and specification of a project. It is not intended to be used independently to decide if the project site or parts of the project site are in accordance with the requirement of the relevant acts and regulations or OSH management system. Hence, it's important to know that it is still the responsibility of the contractor to ensure that safety and health of the construction site conform to legislation's requirement, approved standards, code of practice, guidelines, specifications, and contractual requirements. In coming up with the construction industry standard for SHASSIC, CIDB has referred to various laws, legal requirements, and standards. It's going to be a long list, so keep your eyes open, okay? The assessment element was derived from Malaysia's legal requirements such as the CIDB Act 520, OSHA 1994 and its regulations, FMA 1967 and its regulations, Code of Practices, Standard, OSH management standards such as the ISOs, guidelines and other requirements. Take note, guys, there's one question here appearing in the exam. Now we're getting into the more practical parts, like how a SHASSIC assessment is actually carried out on site. A SHASSIC assessment comprises 3 components: document check, workplace inspection, and personnel interviews. When performing document check, we are required to inspect all OSH-related documents and records to determine if they comply with the safety and health checklist items provided in Annex A on pages 9 to 12. You should read these items together with the Assessor Guide in Annex D, found on pages 22 to 30. You can pause the video now and have a look at those pages. These items are information required under ISO 45001, 2018, Clause 7.5, Documented Information. Next, workplace inspection is conducted to assess OSH implementation at the site. This is where we need to observe things that are going on at the site and check OSH implementation according to our checklist. The checklist can be found in Annex B on pages 13 to 15. Read this checklist together with the Assessor Guide in Annex E, which can be found on pages 31 to 33. It's a good idea to pause this video now and have a good look at those pages before resuming. As you can see, you need to perform workplace inspection on 3 high-risk areas. What are these high-risk areas? The high-risk areas should be identified according to the priority or hierarchy of high-risk areas. We are to select the top 3 high-risk areas applicable to a site from this list. Working at height has the highest priority, followed by mechanical lifting, works involving temporary structure and false works, such as concreting works, fixing of building facade and so on, earthworks excavation exceeding 2 meters in depth, construction works nearby or adjacent to traffic movements, working in a confined space, demolition works above 10 meters in height, and any other high-risk activities as identified by the SHASSIC assessor. Last but not least, personnel interviews. To conduct the interviews, we randomly select personnel from these 3 categories and interview them one by one. We randomly select one managerial personnel from category A, which consists of project director, project manager, construction manager, site agent, project engineer, quantity surveyor. Randomly select 3 supervisory personnel from category B, which includes site supervisor, designated person, DP, OSH committee members, and/or a combination of both, safety and health officer, SHO, site safety supervisor, SSS, and 9 working personnel from category C, preferably 3 from each of the 3 high-risk construction work activities selected for workplace inspection. Interviews are conducted using the questionnaire in Annex C, which can be found on pages 16 to 21. Read this together with the Assessor Guide in Annex F on pages 34 to 37. We'll learn about each item in the questionnaire later in this course. In a nutshell, that's what we do when conducting a SHASSIC assessment on site. We'll learn about each of these in detail in part 3 to 5 of this series of videos. After conducting the on-site assessment, the SHASSIC score is calculated based on the assigned weightage and formula. A star rank is then awarded based on the score. Let's see how the scoring and star ranking are obtained. Here's the weightage assigned to each component. Document check contributes 20% to the overall score. 60% comes from workplace inspection, and the balance 20% comes from personnel interviews. These weights are incorporated in the formula that we use in calculating the scores. We'll learn the formula to calculate the scores in part 3, 4, and 5 of this series of videos, so you don't have to worry about performing the actual calculations for the time being. For now, just remember that the overall SHASSIC score is obtained after we sum up the scores for each component, and that the maximum score is 100%. Finally, refer to the star ranking table to find the number of stars to be awarded for the SHASSIC score obtained. For example, if a site obtains a score of 85%, the site gets 4 stars, which means that the site has been doing a very good job, but not excellent yet. There's room for improvement in the future. But if a site gets a score of 49% and below, sadly, the site has failed to meet the minimum OSH requirements. For those that pass, a certificate and a report will be issued. We've reached the end of part 1, and we have 5 more to go. If you need to take a rest, please go ahead, or else click on the next part of the video to continue. See you soon!